last slide, we work across a wide range of industries. As you stated, today we'll be focusing just on the B2B e-commerce piece. I work with our clients on creating personalized marketing campaigns across multiple channels. I'm in charge of email strategy and execution, as well as content marketing and merchandising on our client sites. You can also see here that I'm on Twitter. I am an avid Twitter fan. I tweet mostly about email and marketing, so feel free to follow along. Feel free to tweet at me with questions, and I'll be happy to answer whenever I can.
Awesome, and my name is Anna. I'm also marketing manager at WearWare, and I primarily work with B2B clients. Most of my expertise lies in email marketing and email strategy, as well as marketing analytics, so kind of making recommendations based on the numbers. Yeah, super excited.
Great. We have a lot to get through with you guys today. First, we're going to start off and look at holiday sales from 2015, take a look at what happened last year. Next, we're going to dive into some tips and updates you can make both to your website as well as your email campaigns. We'll also be taking a look at different examples of these holiday campaigns. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with a live Q&A. So please don't be shy. We're here to answer your questions in order to help you have the best holiday, holiday campaigns you've seen so far. So feel free to submit those questions throughout the presentation. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick look back in time to 2015. So here we're looking at September, October, and November of 2015 compared to September, October, and November of 2014. You'll see that our B2B holiday sales are up 28%. That is a very significant number. Based on this trend, we're anticipating to see the same type of increase this year. Here we have a chart, and I want to highlight two spikes here. Great. So that first highlighted spike, that is September, October, and November of 2014. That second spike over to the right-hand side is September, October, and November of 2015. So we're just illustrating here that increase that I described in that last slide that we talked about. So again, we're definitely anticipating to see that trend continue. One thing I want to point out here, while in November you might see the highest revenue spike, and while that is, what we typically see, it's really important to note that in September and October as well, we're also seeing an increase. So it's really important that you're starting your holiday merchandising and your holiday campaigns in September, even though the main holidays aren't happening until November and December.
Cool, thanks, Shauna. So going back in the present, obviously, you guys want to plan ahead, and that's really what's going to set you up for success in the long run. To kind of help you guys a little bit with that, after the webinar, we're going to let you download a toolkit that's going to go into detail on each holiday month, and each day of the holiday month, you'll get some tips and tricks and what you can be doing during that time, and any upcoming holidays. So stay tuned for that. But in this slide here, we have kind of a high-level explanation of what you could be doing September through December. So beginning of September, or even before then, in kind of the yellow time period, that's when you'll really want to plot out all of your campaigns. So that's where kind of the big creative brainstorming happens. This is, definitely an important period in your calendar. Then after that, second half of December, that's when 10 to 20% of your holiday emails can deploy, as well as kind of the initial changes you might be making to your website. Moving on, October to the very beginning of November, that's when you start sending even more of your emails and making more of your website updates, as well as also your best holiday emails. Up next, that blue block that you see there, this is actually very important for B2B. So this is the time when the biggest uplift in holiday emails happens. So this is when everyone is sending their emails. And that's the time period where you really want to be smart about targeting the right people and also personalizing your messages as much as you can. So in the next slide, we have 3 email schedule examples. back in 2015, and you can see what I was saying earlier, that blue November block is definitely the dominant block in all three. The pink dots, those actually symbolize holiday-themed emails. So again, they kind of aggregate in that November time period. So again, super important to kind of think about all of your creative strategy during that time. All right, so now we're going to move into our main topic for this webinar, which is some tips on how you can update your email campaigns as well as your website. And then lastly, we'll go into some inspiring campaigns and just some ideas for you guys. Cool. So, some updates that you can make. This goes for both your emails and your websites. First off, you want to clearly identify what your promotions and your offers are. So what is your promotion, and then why should people take part in your offer or your promotion? Next, you can update your navigation bar, again, both website and email. That can be things like adding a holiday guide section, or again, a special link for your promotions or offers, an FAQ page, that's up to you. Of course, great content is a must, so find ways to spice up your content for the holidays. And speaking of, you also want to make sure that you're including all relevant information in your messages. So that could be things like, again, FAQs, kind of customer service questions, shipping questions, things like that. And lastly, optimize for mobile. We're going to go in greater detail about that one, but trust us, it's super important. And so now we'll jump into optimizing your website. So late August to early September is really when you're going to want to go to your development team, or whoever is in charge of your website, and give them a list of everything you want to update and get ready for before the holidays. So these are some tips here, but I'll just go over a few. Very important, stress test your website. So you want to make sure that your website can handle a large amount of traffic going into it at a time and avoid any kind of site crashes. This actually, we see it happening to companies all the time. So definitely, good tips there. We're actually going to go into some tools you can use in the next slide. And here we are. So I'm going to talk about 3 examples. So Google Analytics is one. We all know Google Analytics, but it's actually a great tool to test and monitor your site because of the real-time feature. So that's just great to keep track of how many people are on your site at the moment. So that will give you kind of a good understanding. The next one is Google Mobile Test. And this is really great because it's a very quick way to see if your website is mobile friendly or not. All you have to do is plug in your website URL, and then it's going to let you know what things you can change and whether you're 100% optimized for mobile, if there's anything you can change, basically. So, and lastly, there's Page Speed Insights, and this is really great, again, because Google offers you some tips that you could kind of tips on things you have to fix and then things that you might consider fixing. In the end, it really boosts up your user experience points because site speed, can't stress it enough. It's very important because around 40% of people actually abandon a website if it doesn't load within the first 3 seconds. So super, super useful tool. And also, did I mention all of these tools are free? So we love these tools. And Shauna is going to go into some examples.
Great, thanks, Sienna. Those are all really helpful tips, but it'll be even more helpful for you guys to see these put into practice. So here we have one of our clients. This is MudPie's wholesale website. This is how the site looks ordinarily. So a few things about the layout of this page. First and foremost, the MudPie's website platform allows for personalization of certain elements. So if I can direct your attention to the top of the page, you can see that thin top banner is personalized based on the type of customer you are. We have kind of standard navigation here. So we have the product categories, we have the seasonal category, a sale category, catalogs, and then finally we have this big hero image that is, pretty much it's talking about, just fall living and new arrivals. It's not really holiday specific. So next, we want to show you how the website transforms for the holiday season. So this holiday look and user experience will typically roll out around November. So there are a couple of things that the client made updates to. So first, again, let's look at the top of the page. You can see that they've outlined one of their promotions and they've clearly identified the information about the promotion, as well as a clear call to action to invite their retailers to take a look at all ship dates. Next, you can see that they've updated their navigation. So if you remember from that previous slide, we saw seasonal as a category. It's now updated to holiday guide, and they've colored it with a red color to stay in theme with the holiday look and feel that goes along with the rest of their promotion. And then finally, they're using holiday imagery and holiday language in their hero image. Like Anna mentioned, mobile friendly, and she'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's really, really crucial to make sure that your imagery, your website can scale and be mobily responsive. So on that holiday guide, we have a really great landing page. So first, again, that top banner at the top of the page, you'll see that it persists even down to the landing page. Again, just an easy way to remind retailers of the promotion, as well as to clearly display the information. Over to the left-hand side, you can see the holiday guide is broken out into consumer-friendly categories. So stocking stuffers, teacher gifts. They're merchandised in a way that appeals to consumers. And even though this is for B2B, it helps your B2B customers merchandise and think consumer first, since that's ultimately who they're selling to. So we give suggestions on this top hero image, quick stocking stuffers. We're again using holiday imagery. We see that the happy holidays call out at the bottom as well. And then over to the bottom right, you can see merchandising tips. So creating a simple landing page like this is just really great content for your retailers. It's a good way to engage them. And it's typically not a lot of time and resources on your end.
Awesome. So we'll dive into kind of a closer look at some of these examples and more things in practice. So here's a website example. This is what their homepage looked like in the summer. And then the bigger image you see now, this is what they did to kind of initially update their website for the holidays. So all they really did is update the hero image to make it kind of more festive, more Christmassy. And that just goes to show it's a super easy change to make, but it really makes a difference. And moving on, this here is an email example, and it's a stock your shelves email that also gives people information about a promotion. So when you click the call to action button, you get taken to the ornaments website. Not the home page, but right away into the ornament section, so people really get to where they expect to go when they click this button. It's also using live text, which we really like. Always a good tip. And speaking of promotions, if any of you guys are planning to host any big promotions or offers this holiday season, here are some things you can do to avoid anything going wrong. Some of these things you can do yourself, and some of these things you'll have to, again, go to development to figure out. But again, avoiding site crashes. This is a big thing. But here's some things you could do to prevent that. First off, throttle your promotions. And what that means is you want to separate the amount of people that go to your promotional page at a time. So that means, for example, you have an email that you're sending to people on the West Coast at one time, and then you send the same kind of email to people on the East Coast at a different time. So then you have all of that traffic going to your website, not like all at once, but instead it's separated. And that just makes it easier for, for your website to run. Next, review your hardware. So that's something you'll do with development. Make sure your servers, are up and running. And also, you might consider using a microsite just to divert traffic a bit. Next, create a designated frequently asked questions page on your website. So this could have information about your promotions, things that aren't necessarily straightforward and apparent to your consumers. So, things like shipping, any kind of questions there. And finally, to prevent any kind of site errors, we really recommend making any kind of important changes to your website before all of this goes live, unless they're absolutely necessary. It's just a best practice, and that kind of eliminates anything going wrong with, after you publish changes. Next up, test your promotion codes. Just make sure everything's working. You don't want any unsatisfied customers. And then lastly, make sure you can deliver on your promises. So if you're promising 2-day shipping, you'll have to be able to deliver that. And we all know that shipping gets kind of hectic over the holidays, so it's an important kind of thing to keep in mind. And moving on, some more examples. Shauna?
Thanks. Yeah, so to reiterate Anna's earlier point, setting expectations and being a reliable brand is really huge for your retailers, especially around the holiday times where everything is really hectic. They're really counting on you to know your promotional deadlines, and you want to make sure you're setting those clear expectations. So here we have an example from American Leather. So what they do really well is they highlight their promotional information right smack dab on their homepage, right in the white text that contrasts really well with the hero image. You can see that they're outlining their dates of the promotion, so November 6th through the 1st of December, and they also include the drop-dead deadline for placing orders. So you have to order by December 1st in order to get it in time for Christmas. So to run through a few ways to keep your customers satisfied and to make sure you're delivering a really good customer experience, know your deadlines. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row and you have your logistics ironed out before you send out any type of promotional information. Determine your last display day, as we call it, and make sure you're sticking to it. So by that we mean if you know you're going to be running a Black Friday or Cyber Monday promotion with shipping, make sure you know that you will be able to process all those orders and be able to handle that volume by a certain date. That second bullet point kind of feeds right into that. So you need to make sure you also have enough staff to fulfill these orders. Going back to that earlier statistic that I mentioned, we're seeing higher volumes and higher revenue across the board. So as the business continues to grow, make sure that you're able to accommodate it. Setting expectations, this also goes off of what Anna was discussing, but be very clear about your customer service hours. Have that frequently asked questions page set up before you begin your promotions. Make sure there's a way for people to get in contact with you. Finally, a quick tip we recommend, you can modify your confirmation emails. Let your customers know if there might be a delay due to that high order volume. Let them know when they can expect their packages. The more clearly and consistently you communicate with your retailers, the more likely they'll be willing to come back after having a good holiday experience with you.
Thanks, Shauna. So now we said we were going to go into mobile into a little bit more detail, so here we are. We have actually seen a 34% year-over-year increase in B2B mobile visits during the holidays, so that's September through November. And mobile has been growing, for a while now, and is just going to continue to grow. So there's no reason for you not to optimize your emails and your websites for mobile. So here we have a website example. On the right, this is what the website looks on a mobile device. And there's a few things that they're doing really well here, and I just want to highlight those. So First off, the navigation bar becomes a hamburger menu. So that just makes it much more easy to scroll and to click the navbar links. Also, the hero image scales down nicely on the mobile device. The call to action is still very easy to click, and it's still very prominent. And then, you know, the section below the hero image, I'm sorry, why become a mud pie retailer? So that and the image next to it, those become a single column. They kind of stack one after the other. And that just makes for a better scrolling and clicking experience as well. Great. So, you know, another fun stat for you guys, if a website takes longer than 5 seconds to load on mobile, 74% of people will leave the website. So this just emphasizes how important it is not only to optimize for mobile, but also be sure that your website speed is as best as it can be. Another thing, email, you know, if an email doesn't look good on your mobile device, 72% of readers will find themselves deleting the email, and I've actually caught myself doing this. So again, if this doesn't convince you, optimize, optimize, and optimize for mobile. Okay, so here we have a couple of examples. So there's the not email-friendly, mobile-friendly version of a Macy's email on the left. So here you can see that the whole grid layout, you know, it becomes very small on your mobile device. All the images are much smaller. The calls to action aren't very prominent. The nav bar is really hard to click without zooming in on it. So some things you can do, you know, move on to the scalable example, Birchbox. This is for mobile because the whole message is one big image. The font size is bigger. The calls to action, they're just much easier to click. They kind of stand out more. There's a whole S-curve going on in the email, which is really nice. But lastly, the third responsive example, Plow and Hearth, this is what we really want to be striving for in the end. So what makes a design responsive is, you know, it has some elements of the scalable design where the images are large, the buttons are large, like large fonts. You know, the scrolling experience is great, but the other thing that it does is it takes your grid layout and it stacks all the elements one after the other. And again, that, you know, that's pretty much the best user experience you can get. So this is what we want to strive for. Great. So holiday inspiration, this is what you've all been waiting for.
Cool. Thank you. Those are all really good examples. And obviously, we want to show you a lot of those best practices put into action. But first, we want to run through a few really good ideas with some new holiday campaign ideas. Some of you guys may have tested some of these out before. Some of these might be new to you, but we'll run through each one. So first, we have the stock your shelves. This is a really good way to promote your new products and get a campaign out before the holidays. So you can set something like this in the September or October month. Spend now and save later campaign, again, encourages early spending. So if you spend a certain amount during the holidays, you can give out a credit for retailers to use later, maybe in the new year. For gift guides and trends, another really good way to showcase new products, give merchandising tips. It's a really easy content creation tactic you can use, and it's something that, again, doesn't really require you to create a new promotion or any new infrastructure on your website in terms of, you know, couponing or promotional codes. This is purely content-based. Next, we have the countdowns and daily deals. And something that we found that's really interesting, many of you are, you know, you're consumers first, so you're probably familiar with seeing a countdown or a daily deal email for Black Friday, or maybe a countdown to Christmas for your B2C and consumer-facing emails. We're seeing, though, you know, there's such a high and really positive response rate to campaigns like that, that those campaigns are actually now becoming more and more frequent on the B2B side. You know, people react well when there's you know, a countdown, quite literally a countdown timer, you know, creating a sense of urgency. So it's something that we've been working with on the B2B side and something you might want to consider testing out for yourself. For drop shipping or expedited shipping, maybe you can offer free freight or quicker shipping in order to get those orders turned around and onto your retailer shelf sooner. We have the company card. This is similar to the gift guides and trends in that you don't necessarily need to do any website or infrastructure changes. This is another really good content opportunity. It's really important to remember that your retailers are people first. So showing them your appreciation and showing them that you care in a simple, thanks for shopping with us this year, best wishes, happy holidays. Something as simple like that can actually go a long ways. And something that's really interesting, we actually will see revenue come from campaigns like this. So it doesn't hurt to just send something like this out right around the holidays, around November and December. Finally, we have the last day to ship. So this really is just for the retailer's benefit. The more clearly you can convey your promotional information and give them the last day to ship so that they know when to expect your products so that they can stock their shelves, that's just helping them out. So any of that information is something that they find really, really useful. So now I want to dive into a few actual examples. So these are from 2 of our clients. So both of these emails are promoting a stock your shelves promotion. So they're showcasing their holiday products. They're encouraging retailers to stock now rather than later. Again, these are emails that you can send early on. So if you remember back to Anna's holiday planning calendars, in that first, kind of towards the end of September, early October, you can send an email out like this. Both of these are mobile friendly. So again, going back to what Anna was saying about best practices for mobile, neither of these incorporate a responsive design in the body of the email. All of this content just scales to 100%. Both are using really clear, really big call to actions that are easy to tap on mobile. They're light on copy, but the copy is very clear, very direct. And both have really cute, kind of headers right there. Great. So next we have an example of a gift guide. So this is a really great way to offer merchandising tips to your retailers. So here, MudPie is advertising, gifts under $25 for retail. Really good display of their Christmas products arranged in a really cute Christmas tree. And again, this email takes them to a landing page similar to one that we showed you guys earlier that has promotional information as well as merchandising tips and obviously a link to show new arrivals, new products. Great. So this is an example from another one of our clients who are kind of taking that B2C approach, and they're doing a countdown and 7-day cyber sales, the daily deals. So one thing that I really like, as simple as it is, in that top hero image, they outline the promotion very simply and very clearly. 25% off select items and promotion is online only. I know that sentence seems really simple, but it's hugely important. On that first line, they're showcasing the first deal for Monday, and it's holiday decor. But what I really love about this email is that second content block, they're teasing what the next day's deal is going to be. So this email does a really good job of encouraging you not only to take advantage of that day's deal, but to come back for the following deals the following days. Great. So finally, we have an example of fast or drop shipping from Tag. So what both of these emails do a good job of is displaying the relevant information at the top of the email. So in the example on the left-hand side, I want to point out in the very top in that pre-header, they have the promotional code listed. They also reiterate that in the hero image, so that's a really good way to reinforce and make sure people are not missing the code. I mean, I know if any of you have experience from your own shopping on B2C sites, you get a great email that has the promotional code, you go to checkout and you're like, what the heck was that code? And then you're digging through your email to find it. So Tag does a really nice job of outlining it very simply for people to find again if they need to dig back in their email. And then finally, over on the right-hand side, you can see that they're outlining their promotional information very clearly right there in the image. They're also using really cute product imagery in both of these examples. Great. So another example, this is kind of a combination of a loyalty and appreciation email combined with a company card. So here they're thanking you for your business and thanking you for being a part of your loyalty program, and they're also highlighting an ongoing promotion that they have. So again, things they do really well here. This is a scalable email, so there's no need to employ responsive design technique. Everything here will scale really nicely to 100% on mobile phones. And then I know, I'm going to reiterate again, but I really love they bold the promo code, and it's really clear and easy for me to find. And finally, I like having them thank me.
Yeah, great. So in this slide, you're seeing 2 email examples, and these were both sent out on Christmas Day. The one on the left from Glory House, besides, aside from wishing you a Merry Christmas, they are also giving you a coupon code that allows you to get 20% off. Whereas the email on the right is kind of, just wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and it has this great looking GIF or GIF in the hero image as well. But this is kind of really up to your business as to whether you want to include a promotion or any kind of offer in your email the day of a holiday. That's just something, whatever you feel speaks to your brand better. There's no like right or wrong way, basically.
And one thing to pick up what Anna's saying in that right-hand side, see at the very bottom they have that please note our offices will be closed. That's an excellent example of, again, setting expectations. Here you could put something about the last day for shipping, but that's just kind of a housekeeping item, but it's really, really important to make sure your retailers are aware of that.
Yes, very much so. Awesome. And, 2 more examples here. The email on the left, this is from Office Depot. What they're doing here, this is a campaign targeted towards small businesses, and they're asking them what they found that they needed assistance with over the year. And this is really great because not only does that kind of give you a lot of information about your target audience, but it also, it's something that people would actually enjoy talking about. So, you can get quite a lot of feedback from campaigns like this. And the second email on the right, this is from Creative Co-op. So this is more of a social media kind of inspired campaign. They're prompting you to use their hashtag and share some photos of their products. And this is really great, again, not just because it gets your hashtag going around and kind of the hype up on social media, but this really serves as kind of a customer testimonial at the same time. So they're, your target audience are pretty much promoting your products, which is great, and it saves you time as well. And so here we have 2 more examples of restocking your shelves after the holidays. So, these are just great to kind of incentivize any kind of additional transactions post-holidays. And again, they're using gifts, which is awesome. So moving on.
Man, so we've definitely loaded you with a lot of really good information. So we want to run through a few key takeaways. So first, promote early and often. So take advantage of those earlier months like September and October. Use that time period as an opportunity to start pushing out your new product, push out your new arrivals, try out some of those campaign ideas that we mentioned. Use the Stock Your Shelf campaign. Next, for consistent promotions, just make sure that your user experience as well as your content flows seamlessly from channel to channel. So, for example, in that mud pie example we looked at earlier on, if you're going to have that top bar on your website that talks about promotion, maybe think about having that top banner also be present in your email. Don't forget about mobile. You're probably sick of hearing us say it, but I can't sit here and tell you that you would definitely lose sales by not catering to your mobile audience, but it is a growing segment that's very, very important to be cognizant of. You can use some of those tools that Anna was talking about, like Google Analytics, to get better insight into how big your mobile audience is. And that can really help you make the decision if you think it's worth it and worth the time and money to invest in a mobile strategy, whether that's optimizing your email scalable or going the full 100% and making them responsive. Small changes make a big difference and can go a really long way. So simple updates as changing your hero image and making it holiday themed, showcasing your product imagery. It's a really simple change that just helps you sell your products more. On the more complex end, you can change your navigation and implement custom landing pages. You can make those gift guides like we saw a few examples of and create some really good content. Next, mix up campaigns and your design. We went over a bunch of different campaigns, and like I said, maybe some you're familiar with, and maybe some you've never heard of before, and you haven't thought about implementing for your brand. So go ahead and give it a try. I mean, in that September month, you've got time to try a Stock Yourself campaign if it's something you've never done before. In terms of design, if you haven't been practicing a mobile strategy, now would be a really good time to test out maybe a scalable design. Take a look at your emails on your own phone and see what you can do to deliver a better mobile experience. Finally, easy to find information and deadlines. And if there's one thing you're going to take away from us, please let it be the importance of logistics. As we've stated time and time again during this presentation, this is a really busy time for you as well as your retailers. And we cannot stress the importance of delivering a really, really solid and sound customer experience. Make sure you have those FAQ pages set up. Make sure that if a retailer wants to place an order with you, they have that promotion code. They know the last day that they need to order from you. Set those deadlines and create reasonable expectations for your retailers to make sure that their experience is the best it can be during the holidays. The reputation that you gain during the holidays is going to carry over even after, Thanksgiving and Christmas ends. If they have a good experience with you during these 3 to 4 months, then they're going to be more inclined to want to come back and shop with you again in the new year.
Awesome. Thank you, Shauna and Anna, for all that great information. So we're going to open up the webinar to questions right now. So if you have any, please feel free to just enter them into the questions box in your screen. So with that, I think we have one question coming in. So we have a question that says, how soon after the holidays are over should you de-holiday your website?
Cool, I can take that one actually. So the short answer would be immediately after the holiday season. So, basically if you're promising that you have a promotion that's going to end on the 25th, then you want to make sure that everything to do with that promotion is taken off on the 25th. And, you can use certain tools to schedule that update process on your website. Either that or, make sure that someone is there to make that change bright and early in the morning. So I hope that answers your question.
Great. Thanks so much. So the next question we have is, I don't have the budget to redo my emails to be responsive. What can I do?
Sure, that's another great question, and I can go ahead and take that one. So responsive, although it is the best way to deliver a really good mobile experience, as Anna highlighted, it's not the only solution. We also have scalable designs. But first and foremost, I mean, if you're gonna rethink your mobile strategy, that's something you really need to be doing now. So anytime between now and early September, we definitely don't recommend doing a huge campaign overhaul in the middle of your busy season. So take a look at your Google Analytics, see how big your mobile audience is, see if it's worth it for you to invest at least some time, energy, and money into maybe optimizing your emails to make them scalable on mobile. If you're seeing a huge mobile audience, then I think that thinking about making the switch to responsive in these next coming weeks is something you should definitely consider.
Awesome. Thanks, Shauna. Another couple of questions that we have that are more housekeeping. A couple people have asked if the presentation will be available for download after the webinar. We will have the presentation and a recording of the webinar available after this presentation. We will be emailing it out to you probably on Monday, so look out for that then. Looks like we have one more question. This one's a good question. It says, do you recommend icons in subject lines to cut through the November clutter?
I love this question. I can take this one. So I've been seeing the emojis appear more and more frequently in my inbox, and I think they're a really good way to help you stand out, especially during that busy season that Anna was highlighting in that calendar. Those 3 midweeks of November, people are getting influx with emails. Not to mention they're getting influx not only from the B2B side, but again, they're also consumers first, so they're getting a ton of email on the B2C side as well. I think icons and emojis and subject lines is a really good strategy. I also will always sit here and tell you to test. Some brands use emojis and they perform well, and you see an increase in open rates. Others, you might flatline a little bit. You know, unfortunately, we don't have a magic email marketing 8-ball, so we can't tell you definitively to do it. But if you think it fits your brand and your brand voice, give it a try. Something else that we really recommend doing if you're going to use an emoji is test it out everywhere. So we use a third party to test all of our emails to make sure that they render correctly across all email clients, of which there are many. So even though on devices like your iPhone or your Android phone, the emojis come in pretty perfectly. Let's say you're using a Christmas tree, for example. So even though your Christmas tree is looking really good in Gmail, it's looking really good on your phone, in some Outlook versions, it might look more like a kind of awkward A. So just make sure that whatever you go with, you're okay with it, and you're just very aware of how it's going to appear across all email clients.
Great. Thanks, Shauna. One more question that we just got in was, how many emails can you send a month before customers get frustrated and start unsubscribing?
No, that's an excellent question. Like we just said, people are getting influenced with email, so it's really, really critical that you're using smart segmentation. So if you're going to do a resend, make sure you're either sending it to just like non-openers. Just delivering personalized emails and utilizing any data points that you have on that customer is definitely going to help them, and it's going to make them more inclined to open your emails. But monitoring your unsubscribe rates, you know, making sure that your emails aren't getting blocked or bounced or anything like that. Maintain good hygiene. You know, if you have a deliverability dashboard or some insight into that, you want to be monitoring it. But the short and quick answer is segmentation based on behavior is definitely the best way to go.
Great. And I will just add a little bit more to that as well. I think you need to test. So you would be surprised at how many emails you can send before your audience starts getting frustrated. And I would suggest that you maybe take a chance and uptick in the number of sends that you're doing and monitor your unsubscribes. So you can monitor your unsubscribes. If it starts reaching above your normal level, then you might want to, you know, scale it back, do a lot of the smart segmenting that Shauna was talking about, and you can that way you can send a lot more emails and try to get more revenue during the holiday season. So I think that's all for the questions. If there aren't any more, we really appreciate you guys joining us on this webinar, and we hope you join us for the next ones we have down the road. Our next webinar will probably be in October or November, so please be on the lookout for that. And thank you so much for joining us.